Fred Warner back on the practice field, and you can feel the room change the moment you hear it. That's the vibe I want you to picture right away. Fred's "we're taking it day by day" line tells you everything you need to know about the cautious optimism here. But more than the words, it's the energy he brings, the way teammates light up, trainers adjust the plan, and the whole locker room smells a little more confident. That matters. Even if he doesn't suit up, just having him in a jersey, running with the group, and being a visible part of the preparation lifts this team in ways that don't show up in box scores. Trent Williams put it simply, seeing Fred back, jersey on, is motivation. That's not fluff, culture and leadership shift outcomes in the playoffs. So right off the bat, quick ask, if you had to bet one way or the other, do you think Fred plays this weekend? Drop a yes or no in the comments right now. I'll read the best takes. If you want every Fred update as it happens, hit subscribe. We're trying to get to 1,000 subs, and every new subscriber helps the channel keep this coverage rolling. Now, what does his return actually change on the field? First, the practical communication, middle of the field discipline, and the ability to call defensive adjustments in real time. Fred's presence eases pressure on replacements and tightens gap responsibility, which is huge when margins are razor-thin against a team that can create explosive plays. Second, the intangible mindset. The locker room has been described as unusually calm and focused lately, what some are calling a zen with intensity vibe, and Fred's return amplifies that. It turns grief over injuries into a rallying point rather than a crisis. Third, coaching flow. When a leader like Warner is available, game planning shifts. You don't have to hide personnel or simplify calls as much, and that lets coordinators like Robert Saleh and Clay Kubak lean back into more complex looks. Bottom line, whether he's every down ready or a situational spark, Fred's back is a net positive. Before I move on, hit the like button if you're feeling the optimism, want more locker room insight, and remember, stick around. Next, I'll break down why Ricky Pearsall's availability could change the whole game plan. Ricky Pearsall being back in the conversation might quietly be just as important as Fred Warner's return, and that's not an exaggeration. You heard him say it himself in the locker room. He's optimistic, he's cutting well, and even if he hasn't hit full top-end speed since early in the season, his game isn't about track numbers, it's about separation, leverage, and making defensive backs hesitate. That hesitation is everything. When Pearsall is on the field, defenses have to respect the vertical threat, and that alone stretches coverages enough to open space for the underneath routes that this offense lives on. And that's where everything ties together, because without him in Week 18, Seattle was able to sit on short throws and shrink the field. Now ask yourself this. Do you really want to give a defense like Seattle's the luxury of crowding the line and daring you to beat them deep? Probably not. So quick question for you. If Pearsall plays, who should Seattle assign to him? Drop a defender's name in the comments and let me know your thinking. And if you like these roster breakdowns, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. We're pushing hard toward 1,000 subscribers, and your support genuinely keeps this channel growing. It's not just Pearsall either. Trent Williams is trending toward being ready again, which matters more than most people realize. He gutted through a hamstring last game, gave up pressures, but he also kept the offense functional. And remember, he didn't even play in the first Seattle matchup. That changes the entire math up front. On the flip side, George Kittle having surgery on that torn Achilles reminds you how much has been lost, and yet, here this team is. That's why the linebacker rotation also matters so much right now. Eric Kendricks, Garrett Wallow, maybe even D. Winters all being prepped behind the scenes by KJ Wright gives this defense a fighting chance to stabilize the middle even while Fred is easing back in. It's not flashy, but it's how playoff teams survive. Keep that in mind as we move forward, because next I'm going to walk you through exactly how all of this shows up on the field when the 49ers try to beat Seattle. Now let's talk about how this game actually going to be won or lost, because the chess match between these two teams is just as intense as the injury drama. The first thing that jumps out is third down. The 49ers went to for 9 against Seattle the last time they played, and that simply can't happen again. When you're bad on third down on both sides of the ball, you lose control of the game, the other team hogs the ball, and suddenly you're playing from behind the script. Robert Saleh said it himself, you can't be leaky on first and second down and then expect miracles on third. So the first priority is staying out of third and long, and that's where Ricky Pearsall changes everything. With him on the field, the Seahawks can't just squat on short routes in their nickel and dime packages. They have to worry about someone taking the top off the defense, and that opens up those rhythm throws that Brock Purdy needs to get comfortable early. Let me ask you this, would you rather see the 49ers come out throwing to set up the run, or try to force the run right away? Type pass or run in the comments so I know where you stand. Now here's the other wrinkle. Seattle's defense is built to cheat the system. They stay in nickel and dime, but still stop the run because of that hybrid safety linebacker role they've built into the scheme. That's why just lining up and trying to pound the ball probably won't work. You're going to need short, quick completions, misdirection, and maybe even a trick play or two, just like the one that broke the Philadelphia game open. Clay Kubiak talked about how those calls come from studying coverages all week and being ready to strike when the look shows up. That same mentality has to carry over here. This is going to be greasy, ugly, playoff football, and that's okay. The goal is to keep moving the chains, keep Seattle off balance, and steal points wherever you can. If you're enjoying this breakdown, make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the post-game analysis when this is all over, because we're grinding toward that 1,000 subscriber mark together. Up next, I want to take you inside the locker room, because the culture and coaching dynamic behind this team might be the real secret weapon. One of the most fascinating parts of this whole run is what's happening behind the scenes, because the 49ers are being held together right now by culture just as much as by talent. You hear it in the way guys talk about KJ Wright quietly bringing Eric Kendricks and Garrett Wallow up to speed, or in how Gus Bradley drops these life lessons that somehow always connect back to football. That stuff matters. When you're on your fourth starting Mike linebacker and you're still lining up correctly against one of the best defenses in the league, that's not luck, that's preparation and buy-in. And then there's the Shanahan and Clay Kubiak dynamic, which might be one of the most underrated storylines of this season. They see the game the same way, they prepare for the same scenarios, and when one suggests a play, the other already understands the logic behind it. That kind of alignment is rare, and it's why this offense can still find answers even when the personnel is duct taped together. Let me throw this to you for a second. Which 49ers leader fires you up the most right now? Fred, Trent, Kittle, or someone else? Say the name in the comments and tell me why, and if this kind of inside look is your thing, go ahead and subscribe. We're pushing for 1,000 subs, and this community is what makes these deeper stories possible. The locker room vibe right now has been described as calm but intense, almost zen-like, and that's not something you fake. It comes from surviving everything this team has been through and realizing there's nothing left to lose. They've maximized the hand they were dealt, and now they're just playing free. That's a dangerous thing for an opponent to face, especially going on the road into a hostile building. And that's exactly why this game feels like it's going to come down to who stays composed when the pressure spikes, which brings us to the final outlook. Here's how I see this shaking out, and I'm going to be straight with you about it. The 49ers are not walking into an easy situation. Seattle can run the ball, they can control the clock, and they've already shown they can hit the 49ers with a couple of gut punch plays if the defense loses. Discipline for even a moment. That's why the biggest key in this game isn't actually scoring 30 points. It's keeping a lid on the run and avoiding those third down disasters that turn into 30-yard heartbreakers. The encouraging part is that the defense is better positioned now than it was the last time these teams met. Eric Kendricks is more settled, Garrett Wallow has had more reps, and there's a real chance Fred Warner is out there providing the communication and edge that this group desperately needs. Even if he's not full go, his presence alone changes how everyone around him plays. On offense, I expect this to look more like a grind than a shootout. Short passes, timing throws, and just enough vertical pressure from Ricky Pearsall to keep Seattle honest. If Trent Williams holds up, that might be the difference between Brock Purdy having time to make plays and everything collapsing. So here's my prediction. I think the 49ers find a way to score enough, maybe in that high teens, low 20s range, and the defense does just enough to steal this one late. Now, I want to hear from you. Who is the one player you trust most to show up in this game? Drop the name in the comments and tell me why. And if you made it this far, do me a favor, hit the like button and subscribe so we can get this channel to 1,000 subscribers, because that support is what lets me keep bringing you this kind of in-depth coverage.